This was the third time Jesus had appeared to them after being raised from the dead. You would think after 3 times they would kind of get what's going on. But especially Peter, not just the first pope, but in many ways represents all of us followers of Jesus, who sometimes we don't get it either. Because what is he doing in this instance? He says to the other disciples that's been listed out, I am going fishing. And they're saying, well, we will go with you. And oftentimes we say to God, I will go and do my own thing. I will do this. And sometimes we kind of just follow the crowd because that's what people are doing. And so we see the results of when we approach life in this way. It's dark and it leads to nothing. They come back and they caught 0 fish. 0 fish. And so this is a helpful reminder that if we try to do things on our own and not follow Jesus, then we're going to come up empty-handed. But when we do follow Jesus, this is what gives us a participation in the ongoing joy of the resurrection, the ongoing Easter joy that we're meant to live by. And the image in the second reading is the Lamb on the throne. Now, it helps to go back, and if you want to do a little extra biblical homework, go into the book of Revelation. We're in chapter 5. Go into earlier in that chapter and even in chapter 4, because it sets up this whole scene, which actually is a reminder of kind of what we're doing right now, because we're participating in the heavenly liturgy. That means all the angels and the saints, all the holy ones, gathered around the throne of the Lamb. That's why we're gathered around what will be the throne of Jesus present to us, the Lamb, at the altar, that we are participating in that. And why is the Lamb important? Because all these different holy ones, the elders and all these other even strange creatures, all the angels, all the saints are unable to open the scroll and break open the seals. Now, what's a scroll? We don't scroll very much these days, but this is, I guess this would be more like hear ye kind of scroll. Probably more so, the scroll was actually opened like this in the synagogue. The scroll. Now, I know a lot of you, especially you First Communion kids, you may not be used to a lot of things with paper, okay? But you know what scrolling is, right? You know that if you get on your phone and your tab, thank you very much. Could everybody does that. Could everybody do the scrolling? Okay? Actually, it's like this, isn't it, I guess? No, you go up like this. Well, it depends on where you're trying to go. But the whole thing with the scroll is you can't see the whole thing, can you? You can only see just a little part. If you're going through a file on your phone or the pictures, then you can only see a little bit at a time, right? Well, the scroll represents God's plan for the world over all time and history, for all peoples, including you and I. And part of what we participate in the Eucharist is the scroll is opened by the Lamb of God, who takes away the sins of the world. Takes away all the times that we're saying to God, I am going fishing, which leads, of course, to empty nets. But when we approach Jesus, the Lamb on the throne, the first thing is we just acknowledge who he is. He's the only one that has the plan. We can't know the plan, and we certainly can't make up our own plan. Well, we can, but it's going to be a long night of very fruitless fishing. And so part of what we do throughout our lives, but most easily when we come together, all with the angels and the saints and all the creatures gathered around the throne of the Lamb, is we first just acknowledge Jesus as the only one who has the plan. We give him honor, worship, glory, blessing, all those things that was happening that we heard in the reading today. We acknowledge the Lamb on the throne. And then we say, Lord, can you open up for me a little bit your plan for my life and how I fit in this plan today, in this place? You see, for the First Communion kids, that's been part of your journey. I mean, part of your journey was first reconciliation, when you've been like, I was doing my own fishing. And I'm old enough to understand when I do that. But now I'm also old enough to know that God created me for a purpose, part of his plan. And a lot of that is just, I come and be with him present in the Eucharist, his body and blood, and he affirms me and strengthens me with his love and says, just keep doing what you're doing. And sometimes he gives us a little bit more specifics. And by the way, it might be kind of new for you young people, but for everyone here, we always need to come back, first of all, because we get used to fishing on our own, but we just need a little bit more of the revelation, of a little bit more hint of God's plan in our life and how we fit into it, or the affirmation of that, because it's constant work, and sometimes it shifts and it changes. And that when we come to the presence of the Lamb and we give him honor, we adore him, we worship him, he helps us. He wants us to know this plan. And then he says, come and have some breakfast. Come and be fed by my body and blood. It not only helps you to know, but to have the strength to do your part of the plan. So that's what we're doing today in Eucharist, and for those that are participating fully in the first time, is we give honor and worship to the Lamb. We get to know a little bit of his plan, and then we do fishing for him. Or as maybe we can hear Jesus say, now go and be breakfast for others.